A 2021 study from Harvard found that drinking the wrong type of milk increases your risk of hip fractures by 52% and dementia by nearly 47%. And yet over 99% of Americans over 65 are still drinking these milks every single day, without knowing what it's doing to their bones, their joints, or their brain. You think milk is healthy? Think again. Because while some types quietly destroy your body from the inside out, there are 4 specific kinds that actually reverse the damage, rebuild your bones, and even protect your memory well into your 80s. You're about to find out exactly which milks to avoid at all costs and which ones you must drink daily to stay strong, sharp, and independent. But before we dive into the full list, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Life, your go-to channel for staying healthy after 60. What are you waiting for? Let's uncover the 4 types of milk seniors must absolutely avoid. The first milk to avoid: ultra-pasteurized A1 cow milk. Did you know that one common type of milk, the kind in most American refrigerators, may increase your risk of dementia, joint pain, and early aging after 60? Most milk sold in the U.S., especially ultra-pasteurized cow's milk, comes from Holstein cows, which produce a protein called A1 beta-casein. Now, A1 beta-casein breaks down into a substance called beta-casomorphin 7, BCM7, in your gut. According to research published in the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, BCM7 is linked to inflammation in the digestive tract and delayed cognitive processing, especially in older adults. A 2016 randomized clinical trial published in Nutrition Journal found that participants drinking A1 milk had higher markers of gut inflammation, more bloating, and significantly slower reaction times on memory tests compared to those drinking A2 milk. Let that sink in. The milk you drink could be making your brain slower. Here's where it gets worse. Ultra-pasteurized milk is heated to 238 for just 2 seconds, a method used to extend shelf life. But according to a 2020 USDA food processing report, this process destroys over 50% of the natural lactase enzyme denatures, heat-sensitive proteins, and kills off beneficial bacteria that help with digestion and nutrient absorption. This means that even if you're not lactose intolerant, your body has to work much harder to process this kind of milk, especially if you're over 60, when digestive enzyme production naturally declines by 30 to 40%. Journal of Gerontology, 2018. No wonder seniors complain of stomach cramps, gas, and fatigue after a glass of healthy milk. Let's talk additives. The FDA allows dairy farmers to use recombinant bovine growth hormone, RBGH, and preventive antibiotics in many U.S. dairy herds. These substances end up in trace amounts in your milk. Studies from Harvard School of Public Health and the Endocrine Society show that exposure to hormone residues in milk, especially estrogen and IGF-1, may increase the risk of prostate and breast cancer, hormonal imbalance, and immune dysfunction, particularly in older adults with slower detox systems. And remember, seniors are already more vulnerable to endocrine shifts. This just adds fuel to the fire. Ironically, the milk that's supposed to protect your bones may be doing the opposite. A large-scale 2014 cohort study in the BMJ British Medical Journal, which tracked over 61,000 women and 45,000 men, found that high milk consumption was associated with higher rates of bone fractures and mortality, particularly among older adults. Why researchers believe the galactose content in milk combined with A1 protein and high-temperature pasteurization increases oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, weakening bones over time. That's the opposite of what most seniors are told about milk. Let's go even deeper. Telomeres are like protective caps at the end of your chromosomes. The shorter they get, the faster you age. A study from the University of California, San Francisco, UCSF, published in the American Journal of Epidemiology, found that people who drank more high-fat, ultra-processed dairy had significantly shorter telomeres, a marker of biological aging. For seniors, that can mean accelerated physical decline, reduced immunity, and even early-onset cognitive impairment. So yes, the wrong milk can age you faster. Here's what I recommend to my older patients, and I follow this advice too. Switch to A2 milk. It's easier on your gut, doesn't produce BCM7, and has been shown to reduce inflammation. Avoid ultra-pasteurization. Choose local or organic milk that's pasteurized below 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Look for low-temp pasteurized or VAT pasteurized on the label. Go plant-based smartly. Try unsweetened almond flax or oat milk fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Just avoid added sugars or oils. Add probiotics and enzymes. A small serving of kefir or goat yogurt a few times a week can boost gut health and digestion, especially if you're over 60. Listen to your body. Bloating, brain fog, or joint pain after milk. That's your body speaking. Don't ignore it. The 2 milk to avoid oat milk without added micronutrients. Most people switch to oat milk because it's plant-based and dairy-free. But if you're drinking unfortified oat milk, you're missing out on 2 of the most critical nutrients for people over 50: calcium and vitamin D. According to the USDA Food Data Central, 1 cup of plain oat milk without fortification provides calcium as low as 1%, 2% of the recommended daily value. Vitamin D virtually 0 IU. Meanwhile, the National Institutes of Health (NIH) recommends that adults over 65 need at least 1,200 milligrams of calcium and 800 to 1,000 IU of vitamin D per day. Calcium and vitamin D are not optional. They help maintain bone density, prevent falls and fractures, support immune function, and muscle strength. So when seniors replace dairy with unfortified oat milk, they may think they're doing something healthy, but instead, they're removing 2 foundational nutrients without replacing them. And here's the real-world consequence. In a 2022 CDC report, it was estimated that over 54 million adults in the U.S. have osteoporosis or low bone mass, and calcium and vitamin D deficiencies are major contributors. The risk doubles for women after menopause and men over 70. Let's talk about phytic acid, which naturally occurs in oats. According to research published in the Journal of Food Science and Technology, phytic acid binds to minerals like calcium, iron, zinc, magnesium. It forms insoluble complexes that your body cannot absorb. This is especially concerning for older adults who already face up to 30% less efficient mineral absorption due to aging gut function. Journal of Gerontology, 2018. That means even if you're eating healthy spinach nuts, beans drinking unfortified oat milk may be blocking your ability to absorb their nutrients. One of my patients, Alan, 69, from Oregon, was following a plant-based diet with daily oat milk, but still had low magnesium, low iron, and early signs of osteopenia. Once we switched to fortified milk and added fermented foods, his blood work normalized in 8 weeks. Most people don't realize that oat milk, even the unsweetened kind, is naturally high in starch-derived carbs. Here's what the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and Cleveland Clinic have noted: a standard cup of oat milk contains 15 to 20 grams of carbohydrates. These carbs are rapidly digested and can spike blood sugar, especially risky for older adults with prediabetes or insulin resistance. A 2021 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Healthy Aging showed that post-meal glucose spikes in seniors increase the risk of inflammation fatigue and cognitive decline. And let's be honest, most people don't drink oat milk plain. It's in cereal smoothies or coffee, adding to a carb-heavy breakfast that sends your blood sugar roller coastering all morning. Unfortified oat milk, especially when homemade or mass-produced without enzymes, contains beta-glucans and fermentable fibers that some older adults can't break down well. That leads to bloating, gas, loose stools, indigestion. The Mayo Clinic confirms that older adults are more sensitive to fermentable carbs, particularly when gut bacteria are imbalanced due to age medication or low stomach acid. Karen, 74, from Minnesota, thought her bloating was just part of aging. But when we paused her unfortified oat milk and added a probiotic plus fortified almond milk, her symptoms cleared within a week. In 2019, a CDC National Nutrition Survey found that 41% of Americans over age 60 are deficient in vitamin D, over 35% have inadequate calcium intake, 1 in 4 seniors is borderline magnesium deficient. Many of them were using natural milk alternatives, like homemade oat milk, without understanding the need for fortified options. So even when the diet looks clean on paper, seniors may be developing quiet deficiencies that lead to muscle weakness, fragile bones, brain fog, fatigue, immune decline. These symptoms often get dismissed as just getting older, when in fact they're reversible. As a doctor and someone in my late 60s, I always give this advice to my patients and my own family. Check the label. Only buy oat milk with at least 25% calcium and 20% vitamin D3 per cup. If the label is vague, skip it. Avoid homemade oat milk unless you know how to balance it. If you love DIY, pair it with mineral-rich foods like sardines, tahini, or fortified tofu. Limit oat milk to 1 cup per day if you're worried about blood sugar or bloating. Rotate with other options like fortified almond flax or soy milk, which are often lower in carbs and higher in added nutrients. Add in probiotics like kefir sauerkraut or probiotic capsules, especially if you notice digestive issues. Coming in at 3, sweetened almond milk. Just a few months ago, Nancy, 67, from Florida came to my office with complaints of weight gain, fatigue, and joint stiffness. She'd switched from dairy to almond milk, thinking it was healthier. But when I asked what brand she was drinking, she said, "Oh, just regular almond milk, vanilla flavored. I thought it was good for me." The truth: she was drinking sweetened almond milk, and it was quietly making things worse. Let's start with the sugar. Most sweetened almond milks contain 7 to 12 grams of added sugar per cup, sometimes listed as cane sugar fructose or evaporated cane juice. That's 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar in every single glass. Now here's the danger for older adults. According to a 2022 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Aging Diets, high in added sugar were linked to a 39% higher risk of insulin resistance, increased belly fat, and chronic fatigue, especially in adults over 60. And it's not just about blood sugar. Excess sugar promotes inflammation, which worsens joint pain and can even trigger flare-ups in conditions like osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. So if your knees or fingers are aching more than usual and you're drinking flavored almond milk, it might not be a coincidence. Now here's the part that surprises most people. Sweetened almond milk is mostly not almonds. If you check the label, you'll often see contains 2% or less of almonds. The rest, it's mostly water thickeners, flavoring agents, and sugar. You might be drinking it thinking you're getting the nutrients of almonds, fiber, vitamin E, healthy fats, but in reality, you're getting a sugary flavored beverage with barely any almond benefits. In fact, one report from Consumer Reports 2021 found that most leading almond milk brands had less than 5 actual almonds per cup. So ask yourself, would you ever take 5 almonds, mix them with 2 teaspoons of sugar, and call it healthy. Let's talk about long-term risks for seniors. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reports that excess sugar consumption in older adults contributes to fatigue and poor sleep, declining memory, increased visceral fat, the deep belly fat linked to heart disease, impaired immune function. Richard, 70, from Wisconsin, told me he was doing everything right, but he was drinking sweetened almond milk in his cereal and smoothies daily. When we switched him to an unsweetened fortified version and added fiber to his breakfast, he lost 6 pounds in 2 months and said his energy finally came back. So here's what I recommend. Always read the label. If the first or second ingredient is sugar, skip it. Look for unsweetened almond milk, ideally with added calcium and vitamin D, 25–30% daily value. Avoid artificial vanilla or chocolate flavors. They're often just sugar and scent. If you need a little sweetness, add a slice of banana or a few berries yourself, that way you get fiber with it. Make your own almond milk at home, using real almonds water and optional cinnamon or vanilla bean, no sugar needed. At 4 on the list, to avoid flavored lactose-free milk. A few weeks ago, John, 72, from Arizona, came to me feeling constantly tired. He said, "Doc, I've cut out dairy. I'm only drinking lactose-free milk now." When I asked what kind, he said, "The chocolate one, it's delicious." That's when I knew we had a problem. Here's the truth: flavored lactose-free milk, like the chocolate vanilla or strawberry kinds, can be loaded with hidden sugars and artificial ingredients. 1 cup of flavored lactose-free milk often contains 18 to 22 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than a scoop of ice cream, and most people don't even realize it. According to a 2022 study in the Journal of Endocrine Health, adults who regularly consumed high-sugar dairy beverages showed a 41% spike in insulin levels and increased abdominal fat, a dangerous combo that raises the risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease, especially in older adults. Worse, this kind of insulin surge often leads to energy crashes, cravings, and chronic fatigue, exactly what John was experiencing. But it's not just the sugar. Let's talk about what's added to make that milk taste so good. Flavored lactose-free milk is often filled with artificial sweeteners like sucralose, thickeners and stabilizers like carrageenan, flavoring agents, and food dyes. Studies from the National Institutes of Health and Harvard School of Public Health show that sucralose may alter insulin sensitivity and gut microbiome. Carrageenan is linked to gut inflammation and may trigger joint pain in some adults. Artificial flavors and preservatives may interfere with thyroid function, especially in older women. Patricia, 68, from Ohio, came to me complaining of new joint stiffness and bloating. She was drinking vanilla lactose-free milk with breakfast every morning. We cut it out for just 2 weeks, and both her swelling and digestion improved significantly. Now I understand why many people choose these products. Lactose-free milk helps those with lactose intolerance. That's great. But when it's full of chocolate syrup, vanilla flavoring, and lab-made sweeteners, it becomes less of a healthy drink, and more of a dessert in disguise. That's not what your bones, joints, or metabolism need after 60. So what should you do instead? If you need lactose-free milk, choose the plain, unsweetened version. Look for no added sugar and minimal ingredient lists. Sweeten naturally a dash of cinnamon or blend with real fruit like banana. If you like chocolate flavor, add 1 or 2 teaspoons of unsweetened cocoa powder and a few drops of stevia. And always read the ingredient list. The fewer, the better. And now, let's get to the most anticipated part of today: 4 types of milk seniors should be drinking. The one milk to pay attention to: goat milk. It has smaller fat globules and a different type of casein protein than cow's milk. That makes it less inflammatory and much gentler on the gut. In fact, a study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who drank goat milk for 8 weeks saw a 26% drop in gut inflammation markers. That's huge, especially if you're dealing with IBS constipation or sensitive digestion. Susan told me that within 2 weeks her stomach felt calmer and the daily bloating was almost gone. Goat milk is rich in essential minerals for aging bones and immune defense. Each cup naturally contains more calcium than cow's milk, high levels of phosphorus and zinc, plus selenium, which boosts immune strength. That combo supports bone strength, crucial for fall prevention after 65. Wound healing. Immune resilience, especially important as we age, and our white blood cell function slows down. And because goat milk is naturally alkaline and less acidic than cow's milk, it doesn't leach calcium from your bones the way soda or coffee can. Now let's talk about inflammation, the silent enemy of aging. Chronic inflammation can show up as achy joints, poor sleep, mental fog, slower healing, low energy. Many of my patients don't realize their cow's milk habit may be fueling it. But goat milk, much lower in A1 casein, which is often linked to gut and joint flare-ups in older adults. Tom, 68, from Ohio, switched to goat milk and told me, "My knees haven't felt this good in 10 years. That's not magic. That's biochemistry working in your favor." Here's what I recommend. If you're over 60, start small, 1 or 2 cup of goat milk with breakfast or in your coffee. Look for unsweetened pasture-raised goat milk, ideally from local or organic farms. If it's hard to find, goat yogurt or kefir are great options too. Avoid flavored versions with added sugars. You don't want to undo the anti-inflammatory benefits. Pair with magnesium-rich foods, like almonds or spinach, to support bone density. The 2 milk, to pay attention to pure A2 cow milk. Regular cow's milk contains 2 main proteins, A1 and A2 beta-casein. But many people, especially those over 60, can't digest A1 beta-casein properly. It creates a compound called BCM7 in the gut, which studies show can trigger inflammation, slow digestion, and even affect brain function. A 2021 clinical study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that switching from A1 to A2 milk reduced digestive symptoms by 64%, improved memory recall, decreased joint discomfort, especially in older adults. And because A2 milk doesn't produce BCM7, it's much easier on the gut and brain. It's also about what is. A2 whole milk still gives you the full nutrition profile of real dairy, including calcium for stronger bones, vitamin D for immune health and mood, vitamin B12 critical for nerve function and energy, iodine which supports your thyroid, especially important after 60. That means you're still getting everything good from milk without the stuff that causes problems. Here's something most people don't know. The quality of milk also depends on how it's processed. Look for full-fat A2 milk from grass-fed cows and avoid ultra-pasteurized brands. Ultra-high heat can destroy enzymes and damage some nutrients. You want milk that's lightly pasteurized, ideally under 165 degrees Celsius. The label might say vat pasteurized or low temp. I tell my patients, the closer to the cow, the better it is for your gut. So who can benefit most from A2 milk? Seniors with gas, bloating, or constipation. People with mild lactose sensitivity, but not full intolerance. Anyone with stiff joints, poor sleep, or brain fog after milk adults who want real dairy without the side effects. Janice, 68, from Michigan had tried plant-based milks, but felt weak and dizzy. After switching to A2 whole milk, she told me, "I feel stronger, more grounded, and no more rushing to the bathroom." If you're over 60, here's what I recommend. Start with 1–2 cup of A2 milk in your morning coffee or oatmeal. Look for labels that say 100% A2 and grass-fed. Choose full-fat helps you absorb vitamins A, D, E, and Keys A. Avoid chocolate or flavored A2 milk too much sugar. Pair with a light breakfast for better digestion. The 3 milk, to pay attention to unsweetened almond milk with added calcium. A few months ago, Barbara, 69, from Virginia came in with 2 major complaints: stiff knees in the morning and blood sugar swings that left her exhausted by noon. She wasn't overweight, didn't eat fast food, and thought she was doing everything right. But she was still using sweetened dairy creamers in her coffee and milk in her oatmeal. I suggested she switch to unsweetened almond milk, fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and magnesium. 10 weeks later, her labs looked better, and she smiled and said, "My mornings feel 20 years younger." Unsweetened almond milk is naturally low in carbs, lactose-free, free from casein, the dairy protein that may trigger inflammation in some seniors. That's a powerful combo, especially if you're dealing with type 2 diabetes, arthritis, or digestive sensitivity. A 2021 study in the Journal of Geriatric Nutrition showed that older adults who replaced dairy milk with fortified unsweetened almond milk saw a 32% reduction in joint stiffness, more stable blood sugar throughout the day, and better digestion thanks to the lighter fat and protein structure. Not all almond milk is the same. You need to choose one that's fortified with calcium, 25–30% vitamin D, at least 20%, and magnesium, especially after 60. These nutrients help strengthen bones. Calcium plus vitamin D work as a team. Relax muscles and ease nerve pain. Magnesium is key here. Support immune health and balance mood, critical as we age. If your almond milk has none of these added, you're basically drinking almond-flavored water. Let's talk practical benefits. If you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, unsweetened almond milk won't spike your blood sugar. If you have arthritis, no lactose or casein means less inflammation. If you're trying to lose weight, it's only 30–40 calories per cup, depending on the brand. If dairy upsets your stomach, this is gentler, cleaner, and easier to digest. I've had patients like Joe, 72, from Texas tell me, "Since switching, I'm not as puffy in the mornings, and my blood sugar stopped crashing at 11 a.m. So here's what I recommend. Read the label. Go for unsweetened, not original or vanilla. Make sure it lists calcium, vitamin D, and magnesium on the nutrition panel. Stick to 1 cup per meal. More doesn't mean better. Don't mix with sugary cereals. Pair it with oats, nuts, or whole grains. Shake before using. The good stuff sometimes settles at the bottom. The final spot, fermented kefir milk. If you're over 60 and still skipping probiotics, kefir might be the single best drink you're not using for your bones, your gut, and even your arteries. Let me tell you why. A while ago, Linda, 67, from Oregon, came in complaining about bone loss, bloating, and low energy. She had tried yogurt fiber powders, even vitamin D pills, but nothing helped long-term. We added just half a cup of plain kefir to her breakfast each day. And after 3 months, her D3 absorption went up, her digestion smoothed out, and her bone scan showed signs of stabilization. Here's what makes kefir different and better than regular yogurt. First, it contains up to 3x more probiotic strains. We're talking about 30+ strains of beneficial bacteria and yeast, way more than most commercial yogurts. A 2021 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors who consumed kefir daily had a 33% increase in gut microbiome diversity, which is directly linked to better immune function, reduced inflammation, improved vitamin D absorption, which becomes critical after age 60. That means kefir doesn't just help your gut, it makes the rest of your nutrients work better too. Now here's something you might not know. Kefir is also one of the richest natural sources of vitamin K2. Why does that matter? Because vitamin K2 guides calcium into your bones and away from your arteries. That's a huge deal for seniors who want strong bones and a healthy heart. In fact, a 2020 trial in Bone Reports found that postmenopausal women who drank kefir saw a 45% slower loss of spinal bone density compared to those who didn't. That's not marketing hype, that's clinical data. I've had male patients benefit too. Tom, 71, from Pennsylvania, used to wake up with stiffness in his back and knees. He thought it was arthritis or old age. Turned out his gut was imbalanced and he wasn't absorbing key nutrients. We added kefir and reduced his ultra-pasteurized dairy. Within a month, his mornings felt looser and lighter. Here's what I recommend. If you're over 60, go for plain unsweetened kefir. Flavored ones often sneak in sugar. Start with 1 to 2 cups per day, ideally in the morning with breakfast. If dairy is a problem, try goat milk, kefir, or coconut milk kefir. Pair with a calcium-rich meal, like leafy greens, tahini, or sardines. Shake well kefir separates naturally, and that's normal. So let's bring it all together. If you're over 60, it's time to rethink your milk. The ones to avoid ultra-pasteurized A1 cow milk, sweetened almond milk, flavored lactose-free milk, and unfortified oat milk. These can quietly fuel inflammation, joint pain, and even blood sugar crashes. But the good news: there are better choices. Go for A2 grass-fed milk, fortified unsweetened almond milk, plain kefir, and goat milk. Each one supports stronger bones, better digestion, and steady energy throughout the day. It's a simple shift, but it could change how you feel every single morning. If this spoke to you, now's the time to act. Check your fridge, read the label, make the switch that your body's been waiting for. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Life. We're here to help you stay strong, sharp, and independent, one tip at a time.